Yeah.
But next was a great segment here. We see Dolph Ziggler come out. Then I guess the Authority follows suit. And what follows, and I'm going to give the ball here to you, Ashton, because I really want to know what you thought about this, because I've just been blathering on. Triple H is pretty much like the devil in Dolph Ziggler's ear to try and tell him why joining Team Cena isn't even to his benefit. Dude, I thought this was some of Triple H's best work.
Yeah.
This is great stuff.
Yeah. This, as far as Ziggler goes, I don't know, but Triple H cut an awesome promo here.
He did. He really did. He said, Dolph, you're this capable athlete, you're this exceptional athlete, you work harder than anybody, you call yourself the show off, but if Team Cena wins, do you think it's going to be about you? Do you think any credit's going to go to you? No. You know where all the credit is going to go? It's going to be John Cena. And inversely, if Team Cena loses, who do you think is going to get the blame? No, John Cena isn't going to look in the mirror and blame himself. He's going to say, well, what should I have expected, having a partner like Dolph Ziggler? And then the best line in this whole promo came, and Dolph, that's the way it's always been. It's always been about John Cena. John Cena's the guy, no matter how hard you work. And you can call it a glass ceiling, you can call it whatever, but if it's a glass ceiling, you certainly can't see it. And he does the John Cena hand motion. Really great stuff from Triple H. And then Triple H says, it doesn't have to be that way, Dolph. It doesn't have to be that way. The Authority has your best interest. So if you decide not to join Cena's team, you can have whatever you want. And, people are like booing, they're rallying behind Ziggler. And then Ziggler, he acts like he's considering it. He says, anything I want, with kind of like that inquisitive tone. And the Authority, affirms, yes, anything you want. And then Dolph says, well, I guess what I want more than anything is you out of power. I want you gone. I want you gone. I want the Two Stooges gone. I want the corporate sellout gone. I want that sellout gone. I want you all out of power. And then Triple H says, that's really too bad, Dolph. That's really too bad. I really wanted to give everybody here what they wanted. I really did. But now I'm going to have to show you how difficult I can make life for you. Like, say, for instance, putting your Intercontinental Championship on the line tonight against the future Seth Rollins. So we get Ziggler versus Rollins here. And this was a nice back and forth match between these two. These two have amazing chemistry, Ashton.
Yeah, they, you kind of have to expect them to at this point with how similar they both are. I mean, for the longest time, Rollins was taking crazy bumps like Ziggler, and they have a lot in common. They're both ridiculous sellers. They both take crazy bumps. They both are kind of cruiserweights in one way, but also kind of hang with the big guys in another way. They have a lot in common. Honestly, I think the biggest difference is that Dolph has significantly more charisma.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it was basically just, you could point to either one of them and say that they were wrestling themselves in this match.
Definitely. So great back and forth, a lot of great moments between these guys. The ending comes when Dolph looks like he's closing in on the victory. But, first Mercury interferes, then Noble. Then Seth finds an opening. He drives Dolph into the ring post. He then gets the curb stomp. Seth's laughing to himself like, oh, I've got this in hand now. And then from behind, we see Randy Orton, I guess, coming through the crowd into the ring, and he nails Seth with an RKO, screwing him out of the Intercontinental Championship. And, the match doesn't even have a conclusion. It's just Randy Orton RKOs. Mercury and Noble come in the ring to check on Seth, and that's really all there is to it. So, yeah, it looks like Randy Orton and Seth Rollins are far from over, both in terms of the grand scheme of things and this episode of Raw, because things would only intensify from here, Ashton.
I mean, I think that it's kind of meant to be assumed that this got a disqualification finish.
Yeah.
So Rollins technically won if that's the case?
Yeah, that would be true. So.
Which might actually mean that Dolph needs to defend the title again against him?
We'll see, maybe even this Friday. I don't know how stacked they want to make this SmackDown. So we'll have to see what happens. But we come back, and they recap what just happened. And then Stephanie is expressing her reservations to Triple H. about, not trusting Orton. He's a loose cannon. He's a hothead. He's got these problems with Rollins. What are we going to do? And Triple H assures her, like, we need Randy Orton. The stakes couldn't be any higher. We need him on our team. And Orton comes in and he said, I could have sworn I just heard you guys talking about me. What are you talking about me? And I'll tell you why I did out there. And then Randy Orton just kind of like violently rambling here about how he's not going to stop. He wants to get his hands on Seth Rollins. He wants to hurt Seth Rollins. And what it all boils down to is he wants a match with Rollins tonight. And he says if he doesn't get it, then the Authority can go screw themselves about Orton being a co-captain, which he found to be an insult in itself, with Seth Rollins. And then Triple H says, look, I need the Randy Orton that I went to hell and back with, that I went to war with for all those years. I need the Apex Predator. I need the Remorseless Viper. So if you having a match with Rollins is going to achieve that objective, then fine. You get Rollins tonight. But no matter the outcome, Randy, and he really stresses this, no matter how it all shakes out, after the match is done, we put it behind us, we come together, and we become Team Authority for Survivor Series, and we fight side by side, and we go to war, and I'm not just talking any war, I'm talking scorched earth. So Triple H caves to Orton with the hopes that this will help them, get it out of their system and come together as a unit.
Yeah, because that always works.
Yeah, that's, clearly he took the Dr. Shelby class of psychotherapy, so there you go. And after that, we get probably the strangest vignette I've seen in my 10-plus years as a wrestling fan about Luke Harper. And may I just say...
Why is everybody saying that this was Luke Harper? How do people know that it was Luke Harper? Literally, the only thing that we saw were eyeballs, and it was multiple different sets of eyeballs. They weren't all the same set.
Because it had a voiceover with Luke Harper's voice?
Oh, well, that explains it. I had my friggin' TV muted at the time.
Oh, well, yeah, dude, honestly, I can't even tell you to go back and listen to what he said, because I can't even remember what he said here. All it was just his eyeballs, and may I just say, jeepers creepers, those are some freaky peepers. But, with that said, we get the vignette for Luke Harper, so we know he's still waiting in the wings. We then cut to, Ryback versus Titus O'Neil. And Ryback pretty much squashes Titus here. Titus gets more offense than Heath Slater or Bo Dallas have, in this last week. But it still isn't enough. Ryback still steamrolls him. The crowd is still heavily into Ryback right now with the meat hook clothesline. They do feed me more with him. I think you told me you heard two douchebags doing the Goldberg chant, which really, guys, get over it. Really.
Yeah.
So yeah, he shell shocks Titus O'Neil for the win. So pretty quick match. So then, continue.
I mean, realistically, if anyone's like Goldberg right now, it's Rusev.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, he won the U.S. title, so just like Goldberg did, and he still got this undefeated streak going, but I digress. But anyway, going from that Ryback segment, we then go to Renee Young backstage with Big Show. Show pretty much tells Renee, he feels so betrayed by Mark Henry, this, that, and the other. And I should mention before that, he even says about Team Cena, Team Authority, if Cena needs the world's largest athlete, he would be honored to be a part of Cena's team. I hope not. And in fact, there's a little discussion I want to have at the end of our Raw review, Ashton, that I want to have about Team Cena, Team Authority. So remind me if you can. But Big Show says, yeah, he feels so hurt. He feels so betrayed by Mark Henry, yada, yada, yada. And he just wants to knock Mark Henry out. He walks off. And then Renee, is about to, surmise everything when Eric Rowan comes out and he pretty much says, actually, no, I'm jumping the gun. That comes later. I'm sorry. So I guess afterwards we get Mark Henry versus Big Show. And this is probably the weakest match of the night for me, Ashton. This really
and that's the funny thing is that this was the most boring match that I've seen from these guys in a long time. And they had a program in 2011. I don't think they had any matches that were this bad. But Big Show ends up winning by disqualification because Mark Henry takes him out of the ring and throws him into the steel steps and then nails him in the head with the steps for the DQ. And then after the disqualification, he drops Show on the steel steps with the world's strongest slam. And yeah, this was during halftime. So really, WWE?
Yeah, way to really squander your halftime segment. I'm a fan of Mark Henry, and I could give or take Big Show, take it or leave it. But this is a really pretty sluggish, weak matchup. I like the finish, though, with Mark Henry laying Big Show on the steel steps. It asserts his dominance and all that jazz. Afterwards we cut to Triple H and Stephanie watching this match from within their office. Stephanie says, wow, it'd be great to have Mark Henry on our team. And then we get to what I was jumping the gun about earlier, because Renee is backstage with Brie, says, it's day 8 of your servitude to Nikki Bella. How are you feeling? Brie begins to speak when Nikki cuts her off at the pass, says, I thought I told you you couldn't do interviews without my permission. Now, come on, the number one contender of the Divas Championship has a match to go in, so let's go. And, Renee, pretty much a little perplexed by that, I guess is going to wrap it up and send it back to the ring until Eric Rowan comes in his sheep mask, and he puts her hair in between his fingers, twirls it a little bit, and says, pretty. Now, Renee, being the adorable, wonderful person she is, expresses awkward gratitude to Rowan, just kind of get him off her back, and then she says she excuses herself. You know what? I really like Renee. I'm hoping this doesn't turn into some kind of creepy thing with Rowan and Renee, like maybe him stalking her or whatever. I'm hoping this is just a one-time thing to kind of reintroduce Rowan.
Honestly, I kind of hope that he just kind of does this to everyone.
Yeah, that would be hilarious and eerie.
He just kind of walks up to Ryback one day and says, hungry.
Yeah, and he just walks off, and Ryback is just like, that was weird. But, that could be interesting, Ashton. I like that idea. But we go from that to Nikki Bella versus Ella. I'm not even going to spend a moment on this matchup. Emma gets some of her typical offense, like the dilemma, and I think she goes for the, she tries going for the Emma Mite sandwich, but I think Nikki got out of the way, which is how she was able to get the rack attack for the win. AJ's on commentary. She seems to be playing up more of the babyface role. She is still got that little edgy AJ spunk to her, but she does say, she feels bad for Brie. She would torment her sister sometimes, but not as bad as Nikki Bella's doing. They're really going to, I guess, have AJ be the strong babyface going into this. After the matchup, Nikki orders Brie to go do whatever it is, go towards AJ, and then we later find out, Brie goes to AJ, slaps her in the face. AJ retaliates by knocking Brie out with like a forearm, but then she realizes, oh wait, I should probably really be angry at Nikki, and she chases after Nikki, and Nikki escapes up the ramp. And really, the only other side note I want to make, how much longer are the CM Punk chants going to continue?
Oh my god.
Like, it is just so annoying at this point. Like, really, I can understand if you miss CM Punk. There are a lot of performers I'm going to miss, but I'm not going to disrespect somebody else's work when they're on the clock by chanting it during their segment. Go to your forums, make your videos if you want, express it however you want, but I think when it's another person's time, you shouldn't take it to task on that person simply because they have some kind of relation to the performer that you miss, in this case AJ being CM Punk's wife. I just find it incredibly disrespectful to AJ, so that's all I wanted to say about that.
It's bad.